Hello, I'm Shauna and this is Shauna's World. Welcome back to my channel if you've been here before, and welcome to anyone who's new. In today's video, I'm going to be taking you through how to forage for wild garlic and turn it into wild garlic pesto. While I've loved being outdoors for quite some time, most of my life, it's only recently I've started to develop deeper relationships with the wildlife around me and try and get to understand them a bit more. Foraging is one of my favourite things to do because in this age of kind of over farming, over packaging, long distance transport for our food to get to us, it's so nice to have something that really connects us to our food, and we have been responsible for sourcing what is on our plate, and I just love that. I hope this video gives you some tips for your own wild garlic forage. In the UK, wild garlic grows in abundance and you'll usually find it in shady, damp places like woodlands. Wild garlic season runs from about March to about June in the UK, and you will find that it's the earlier, younger shoots that are the tastiest, so you want to be foraging around March, early April if you can. Where I live in London, I've never actually come across any wild garlic, but here I'm spending lockdown in the Peak District and there's an absolute abundance of it. I've come to a place called Musden Woods and there's just a plethora of wild garlic. There are a few rules you should always follow when you're foraging. So firstly, there are only certain parts of the plant you can take, and it's the 4 F's. So you can take flowers, foliage, fruit and fungi. So with wild garlic pesto, we're looking for the leaves, which falls into foliage, but you're not allowed to take the roots of plants. So you couldn't take the roots of the wild garlic. You can take the flowers. We don't need them for the pesto, but they are edible. Secondly, it's really important that you only take what you need. So a good rule is that you only take no more than 10% of what you find. Here, there's such an abundance of wild garlic that that's not an issue, and I won't take anywhere near 10%. And it's much better if you do take much less than that, so that you're leaving some, well, firstly for other people who are out looking for wild foods, but more importantly, to keep the ecosystems going and for the insects and the animals to be able to feed on. Thirdly, and I cannot stress this enough, don't eat anything if you're not 100% sure what it is. Foraging can be dangerous business, and it's really important you know what you're putting in your mouth. So with wild garlic, I know I'm really confident of what it is, and every part of wild garlic is edible. But you have to be really careful because it often grows around other plants that are poisonous. So with every single leaf you consume, you have to make sure you're identifying it and you know that that's wild garlic. But with anything, if you're not 100% sure it's that food, don't consume it, because there's a lot of things that look very similar to what you might be looking for. One that people often mix up with wild garlic is lords and ladies, and they do look a bit different, but they often grow in with wild garlic, and they are poisonous. So it's really important that you're careful that what you're picking doesn't get random other plants caught up in the wild garlic you're picking. Oh, it's glorious. Right, so I'm going to collect the wild garlic now. I've got a Tupperware here, and I know from the last time I made this, a Tupperware this size, if I cram it really full, that makes about 100 grams of wild garlic, which is what I need for the recipe. So I am going to get picking. It's best if you can do this with a scissors or a small knife. Make sure you're following knife regulations if you're doing that, but I actually forgot mine, so I will be just picking them. just gorgeous. Right, I've got my wild garlic. Oh my god, it smells amazing. I cannot wait to get this home and make some pesto. Right, I made it home with my wild garlic and I'm just gathering my ingredients. So you need the wild garlic, you need a lemon, you need olive oil, or you can also use rapeseed oil if you prefer. I use extra virgin olive oil because it gives it that really nice flavour. And then you need a nut or a seed. So usually in pesto, people use pine nuts, but pine nuts are so expensive. So I've actually got pumpkin seeds, and I've done this before with Brazil nuts, and someone also recommended walnuts to me. So you play around with what you think works for you. I use, just in terms of the measurements, 100 grams of wild garlic, 120 millilitres of extra virgin olive oil, 60 grams of pumpkin seeds or whatever nut you're using, and then the juice and the zest of 1 lemon. It's really important that you give your wild garlic a really good wash in the sink. So just put it in a colander, give it a good wash, because you never know what animals or woodland creatures have been around it. Obviously, if you see any bugs, just let them run free. I don't want to harm any of the little critters. So just having a look. So you'll need a blender for this. You can use one of those handheld zhuzh blenders, or I'm using a food processor. I actually have a bit more wild garlic than I thought, so I've got 150 grams. So I've times the recipe by 1.5. So that's 150 grams of wild garlic, 180 mils of olive oil, 90 grams of pumpkin seeds or the nut of your choice, and the juice and zest of a lemon. The lemon is actually one of my favourite parts of this whole recipe. It goes so nicely with the wild garlic, and just makes it have this really tangy flavour. Guys, I nearly forgot the salt. 1/4 teaspoon should do it, but this stuff really adds to it. Voila. So that's my finished pesto, and I'm actually going to freeze that because I'm not going to eat it for a little while. But it's tasted it and it tastes really, really good, and I'm very excited to eat that. So that was that, my delicious wild garlic pesto. And the verdict. Well, it was very tasty. I really enjoyed it. You could really taste the garlic, the lemon, and it was nice with the pumpkin seeds. But this time it was a little bit bitter. So I made the same recipe a couple of weeks ago and it was not bitter at all. And I think now is maybe a bit too late in the season to be picking the wild garlic. It was good, but yeah, aim for earlier in the season. I hope you've enjoyed the video and found it useful. I'd really recommend trying this recipe during wild garlic season, but there are actually plenty of other things you can make with wild garlic. So I've put it in soup before, I've put it in risotto, or sometimes I just tear it up and put it in salads. And if you have any wild garlic recipes that you like, I'd love to hear about them in the comments. And it may be a bit late in the season for 2020 to have wild garlic again, but bring on 2021. It'd be great to hear your ideas. Just remember, when you are foraging, to stick to the etiquette I outlined earlier and just to enjoy it, stay safe. Yeah, thank you so much for watching the video today, and if you enjoyed it, I'd really appreciate if you could give it a thumbs up, leave a comment letting me know what you thought, and subscribe to my channel. It would be amazing. You are very welcome and valued here. Thank you so much, and happy foraging!